Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and welcome to Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and Tony Robinson. It is a good morning, good afternoon, or good whatever, because we can finally talk about Accrington Stanley getting back going in league play. Now, of course, we've had a couple of cup matches, but there were 4 league matches postponed, so it's been quite a while since we've been able to do a preview episode. And I don't know about you, Tony, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Stanley playing a league match tomorrow. I mean, we had the FA Cup match, Tranmere, that they lost, and then they had the under 21s at Barrow, which they won 1-0. I think those 2 matches came at a good time because of the time off for Stanley players. It was almost like a preseason, so I think those 2 matches were timely and put them in good stead for this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And this weekend's match is coming up where Stanley's going to travel to Northampton Town. As you may or may not know, the nickname of Northampton Town is the Cobblers. And as you may or may not know, a cobbler is a shoemaker, which leads to this week's quiz question. And Tony, I only have one question for you, but it's one question with 3 answers.
Okay. That's a 3-parter. Okay, let's shoot.
All right. So here's the question is I have found a chart on threadcurve.com that lists 29 popular varieties of women's shoes.
You've got enough on your plate. You think you wouldn't have time to look at this stuff, but okay.
However, there are 3 popular types of women's shoes that share their name with football clubs. Name them.
Oh. Exeter.
No.
I'm drawing a blank on this one. The only thing I know about women's shoes is I trip over my wife's at the front door when I come in every day. That's something I know about. Go ahead. I'm stumped on that one, Phil.
Well, so the first one is something that I actually think of as a hat, but I guess if there's a shoe as well, and that is a derby or derby, depending on which side of the pond you're on.
Okay.
This one, I think it could actually be a men's or a women's shoe, and this is the only one I had actually heard of before, which is an Oxford.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that, yes.
And then this was the one that really, when I saw that this existed, it made me say, okay, here was the quiz question. Because apparently there is such a thing as Chelsea boots.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That was a tough one, Phil. No, I didn't even get one right. Speaking of which, I know you like to try and trick me up on some quiz questions, and I know you're very well knowledged on music and rock bands. So guess what? I'm going to give you a quiz and test your knowledge on bands. And these are the question is, are they from Lancashire or not?
Oh, no, you're going to get me in trouble here.
Okay.
Okay, so now for let me ask, does this include the traditional Lancashire that includes Liverpool and Manchester? Okay.
Yes, and I'm not going to ask you the obvious one, so you can forget that one. That's in our rapid fire.
No Oasis and Beatles?
Nope. Okay, let's start off with the Hollies.
I'm going to say no.
You are wrong, Phil. They are from Salford, Burnley, and Nelson's, the original band members. Okay, number 2, the Kinks.
No.
You are correct. They are from Barnet and London.
That one I actually knew.
Let's try the Dave Clark 5.
Ooh, I'm going to say yes.
Nope, they're from Tottenham, London. And let's go with Chumbawamba.
They get knocked down, but they get up again. That sounds like something they would do up north. So, yeah.
Yep, they're from Burnley. And this one, you might get this one. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I'm going to say no.
Sorry, they're from Liverpool. Def Leppard, you've heard of them, obviously.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I want to say they sound like they're from London, though.
Nope, they're from Yorkshire, in Sheffield, Yorkshire. So they're north, but not in Lancashire.
Okay.
How about the Moody Blues?
I think that I'm going to say yes.
Nope, for Birmingham. How about Simply Red?
Yes.
You're correct. They're from Manchester. And how about Jerry and the Pacemakers?
Yes.
Yes, they are the authors of the famous "You'll Never Walk Alone" at anthem at Liverpool.
That's right.
Yeah, and this is a double or nothing. You win, you get this one, and you win the whole quiz.
Okay.
Okay, the Warriors.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Well done. And do you know where the Warriors are from, Phil?
Liverpool?
No, the Warriors are from Accrington, and the two of the founding band members was John Anderson of Yes and his brother Tony.
That's right.
So that was a bit of our trick question, but you did well. You got it. So you did. You won the quiz. Okay.
Well, that was a great one, Tony. that was a lot of fun there. Thank you for putting that together.
No problem.
All right. Well, let's preview some football now, and I think that we'll just kind of start off with the nuts and bolts of it.
I mean, we want it. I mean, they're at Northampton, obviously. Where's the stadium? What's the setup look like for our trip to Northampton?
Well, I mean, I think that the biggest thing to look at is that, interestingly enough, Northampton actually has slightly better away form than they do home form. They are 2-0-3 on the road, which is 6 points in 5 games. 1-2-3 at home, which is 5 points in 6 games. So that's something that I, it kind of catches you a little bit off, is that this club has actually been stronger on the road. I did see the interview with John Coleman, and I can tell you that they're taking this game seriously. You know how I know that they're taking it seriously?
Go ahead.
He says that they've been watching Northampton.
There you go.
I mean, if you're going to actually take the time to watch game film on Northampton, I mean, that's
well, to be fair, he said that about watching game film on Barrow too. So, but I mean, this day and age, you'd be in not doing your job if you didn't look at some type of highlights of the team you're playing anyway, in this day and age.
Well, that's all in good fun anyway.
Yeah.
As John Coleman did mention, Northampton has some dangerous players, and I think you really have to kind of start and finish with Sam Hoskins. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists this year. He's a guy where he's now in his 6th season with the club, 8 goals last year. The year before that, 5 goals, 7 assists. I also noticed that he had 9 yellow cards last year, 10 the year before, 2 already this year. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that'll get the Gordie Howe hat trick, if you will.
Yeah, sounds good. Do we know the referees who assigned for this one yet, Phil?
The referee for the match is going to be Kevin Johnson. Christopher Wade and Martin Holmes are the assistants, and Declan Bourne will be the 4th official getting an earful. And then also, we normally talk about in this vital information part the previous matchups between the teams. And it's been a while since they've played. The last time they played was back in 2015. But honestly, this has been a bit of a bogey team for Stanley. Northampton has won 8 times. Stanley's won 3 times, and there's been 3 draws in 14 previous meetings. The last one, like I said, in 2015, that was a 1-0 win by Northampton at Northampton. Last time Stanley won was in September of 2014. That was at Northampton. You're going to never guess what the score to this game was, though, Tony.
I'm going to go with 5-4.
Oh, you must have been looking at that.
No, that was the first match that John Coleman came back, and they came from behind to win it 5-4. So I do remember that match because it was, as I say, the first match of the second coming of John Coleman.
Well, there you have it. So Tony, one thing that we've been talking about quite a bit as we get into kind of our player profiles, and it's something that John Coleman actually brought up, is how he now has such a tough lineup decision at the goalkeeper position, which necessarily isn't a bad problem to have.
Well, no, this is this really the lead story for Stanley then, who's going to be in between the posts on Saturday?
I mean, I really think it has to be because, I mean, you have Savin, who's just played extremely well. He started all of the league matches so far. But then you also have Baxter, who's came in. He had the shutout, including the penalty shot save against Barrow. Obviously Chelsea has put him on loan to get more playing time, and it almost reminds me of so Tony. Everybody that's seen the Last Dance documentary is familiar with the famous '93 Bulls team when John Paxson hit the shot to beat the Phoenix Suns for the NBA title.
I haven't seen it yet. Now you just spoiled the ending for me.
Well, it happened in '93. So. but so anyway, when the Chicago Bulls won their 3rd championship with Michael Jordan, it was against my hometown Phoenix Suns, and Phoenix Suns had a very good team that was led by Charles Barkley. But so the importance of this story is at the small forward position, they had 2 players. One was Cedric Ceballos, and he was more of an established player. I think he was probably about his 5th season. And he was kind of a guy that was good enough to be the 4th best player on a really good team, but that was kind of his ceiling. And then they also had another guy named Richard Dumas, who was in his 1st year playing that year. And this guy was a tremendous talent. But he was also a first-year player, and unfortunately, he's a tragic story to his career that I'm not going to go into. But the long and the short of it is, so the Phoenix Suns, they had Cedric Ceballos and Richard Dumas, who were 2 players that were quality at the same position. And the head coach at the time, Paul Westphal, he joked in an interview one day. He said, "Yeah, when I wake up in the morning and I feed my dog, if my dog licks my left hand first, I start one guy. If the dog licks my right hand first, I have to start the other guy." And I wonder if John Coleman is going to find himself in that kind of situation.
I had to tell you, I was wondering how you were going to bring that back to the 2 keepers at Stanley. You did well. Well done, Phil. Does it come down to the fact that Baxter saved a penalty? Could that be a deciding factor in him starting at Northampton?
Well, I mean, it certainly could be. The other thing, and this is something that certainly we don't know about, and I have absolutely zero information on this, so I don't want to speculate. There were 19 players that tested positive for COVID, and John Coleman mentioned that some players are kind of still feeling the effects of it. So I have to feel, and this isn't specifically towards the goalkeeper position because I have no idea, but just in general, I have to think that maybe coming into this week that we might see some guys in the starting lineup that are, maybe just the healthiest in terms of either they were never infected or furthest along in their recovery from the virus, et cetera.
Yeah, I think the only player that I know of that is unavailable are Sangari and McConville. That's the only two that I'm aware of at this point, Phil.
Yeah, Tony, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, it's not so much about guys not being available. It's just, we don't know. Coleman had made the comment that some guys are kind of sluggish on the training pitch and things like that, and we don't know who those guys are. Northampton, on the other hand, from what I've read, they are completely healthy. Keith Curl, their manager, he basically said, we don't have anybody who's not going to be available other than Chris Lines, who apparently is out due to a personal matter. And Northampton, they're a team that has struggled with some injuries this year. So, I mean, I really think we're going to be seeing them at full strength. So, I mean, that's certainly a concern coming off the long layoff. I think that having gotten the 2 cup games in, though, it should have been enough to at least knock off some of the rust, like you had said.
Well, I did see their performance in the FA Cup, and it was not good. They just didn't look energetic. They didn't look like they were in the match. And fair play to the non-league club, because they really took it to Northampton and they couldn't deal with it. So they seem to be a little bit hesitant on the pace that the non-league club provided. And so I think if Stanley can run at them with Charles up front, getting in between the lanes, they could cause them problem. But I think for a team like Northampton, coming off that performance, and obviously it will be a different squad, but I think if Stanley can get off to an early start, that could put him in good stead.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned the striker position, because I'm sure that we will see Charles for sure. We did have a new signing in Lewis Mansell, who played 45 minutes in the Barrow game and actually scored a goal. It doesn't sound like he's fully fit to play 90, but he's definitely a guy I think that we're going to be seeing more. Colby Bishop had a knock and missed the Barrow match, but it sounds like he will be available. One guy I did want to point out is Ryan Cassidy, who I've been a bit hard on the past few weeks. He had an outstanding pass to Dion Charles in the Barrow game that really should have been a goal. I mean, it just happens that the keeper was standing right where the ball got hit to, kind of thing. But if a guy's stats are down, I'm going to have to mention it. But then at the same time, credit where credit is due. That was one of the best passes I've seen any Stanley player make all season that Cassidy sent in the Barrow match.
So have you any thoughts on the starting lineup for Stanley?
It's going to be hard to say, because, I mean, like you said, I think it goes back to who Coleman feels is the most healthy. I think that you're going to see Joe Pritchard for sure. If he's, if he's able to stand up, he'll probably be out there, because, I mean, the strides forward that Pritchard is taking, I mean, this guy, he just looks like the best player on the pitch. And, we said that we were going to need somebody to really pick up where Clicker left off when he went to Luton. And I think Pritchard has really stepped in and shown he could do a lot of those same things that Jordan Clark was doing last year.
Well, I think the two people that I would definitely write in to begin with in the midfield are Pritchard and Butcher. I think any squad has to have those two in, because those two together, they really have talent and are top players for Stanley. So I'm assuming that both will start.
Well, especially with Butcher, his versatility means that you can slot him in anywhere. And in the Barrow match, he actually started in an attacking role. And then after subs were made, he moved back into a box role. So when you've got a guy like that, it's kind of easy to get him into the 11 because, no matter where you pencil him in, he's going to be effective.
And across the back, we'll see the usual three of Burgess, Sykes, and Hughes.
Oh, absolutely. I don't see any reason why not.
And we could probably see Bishop start up front with Charles, with maybe Mansell make an appearance in the second half.
I would think so. I mean, that's going to come down more to health because I don't know what the significance of Bishop's injury was. I don't know what the status of Mansell's fitness is. I mean, we could realistically maybe even see Cassidy get a start there. I mean, he may be the fittest and healthiest of the three, and like we said, he played well in that last match.
Yeah, we could see Uruguay and Russell in midfield as well. He has a good problem to have is what John Coleman has right now is even with if some of the players are not 100%, he still has lots of options that if they do run out of steam, so to speak, that he's got quality replacements.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it, and that was actually Coleman's exact quote. He said, "I've got selection problems all over the pitch, but they're good ones to have."
Is there anyone on the Northampton team that we haven't mentioned that we should be looking at or Stanley should be sort of concentrating on?
Well, I mean, we talked a bit about Hoskins earlier. Another guy is Ricky Corboa. He is tied with Hoskins with a team lead with 2 goals. He's a guy that I really couldn't find much of anything on. This looks to be his first season in the Football League. I couldn't even find out how old the guy was. It wasn't listed. It just says birthday unknown, but he's got 2 goals in only 5 starts, 442 minutes. Christopher Bisalu, he's another guy that they brought over from Oldham. He's a really solid player because he's one of those guys that he can play defense, he can play midfield, and he gets forward. He's got a goal and assist. Last year he had 3 goals and an assist for Oldham while mostly playing more of a defensive role. And then I think the thing that we also have to look at is that we haven't mentioned is that Northampton does play the same 3-5-2 formation that Stanley's been playing for most of the year.
Did you have a chance to check out the gambling lines for this match, or are they available?
Yeah, I sure did, and honestly, it looks like the odds makers are favoring a draw, if anything. Northampton is going off at plus 155. Stanley is at plus 175. So basically, technically, Northampton's favored, but that's basically they're saying, we think these two teams are pretty even and just giving a slight edge to the home, or maybe that they even think Stanley is better than Northampton because that's not even much of an edge at all. But the number that really pops out at me is plus 225 for the draw line, which is below that magical 250. It is tied for the lowest draw number of the week. Like we said, anytime you can bet on both sides, win money no matter who wins, and the draw line is plus 250 or below, then that means they're guarding against the draw. And, honestly, in a road match and coming off of the 4-match layoff, this might be a game where, if it is tied late, that Stanley is willing to settle for a point on the road. So I can certainly see it going that way.
So do you, and for prediction time, then what are you looking at for a result?
Well, Northampton is a team that at the beginning of the year, everybody thought was just going to be relegation fodder. And I think that they've definitely proven that they're not that. They're not in bad form. They're not on good form. They've got a win and a draw in their last two. So I mean that pretty decent form right there. But they've been against bad sides. If Stanley didn't have the long layoff and they were in the same form that they were in 3 weeks ago, I would be saying a Stanley victory. That being said, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Okay, I'm leaning towards a Stanley win, and the reason I say that is I think those two matches that they've had this last week have been a godsend to get them back into some match fitness. I know that you said some of the players are not 100%, but I like the depth and I like the options that Coleman has. So I'm going to go with an away win and 2-1 for Stanley.
I hope you're right.
And just on another note that I didn't know whether it's just come across the news today in League One, is that John Sheridan has left Wigan. And he was only on, I believe, he was on a month-to-month contract because of the ownership issues there. And he's gone to Swindon, which I was surprised because I thought they would have promoted from within at Swindon. And he's landed down there on a contract till the end of the year. I don't know if that's a good move for Swindon. It's probably a good move for John. Obviously not working out at Wigan because he was having really terrible results. And we'll see what happens with Swindon. So he's got a long history of, he's managed a lot of teams. So we'll just see how it works out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I could take away from this is it's just further proof how much trouble Wigan really is in.
Yeah, I agree. And also, we just, on this weekend, we've only got 5 League One matches. Several have been postponed, and I'm assuming most of those are because of international call-ups. But I thought, Phil, and we'd just take 2 minutes and I just give not really analysis on those, is just give my prediction. And
yeah, absolutely. We did the preview, or it should be the quarterly review shows, but we didn't predict any of this week's games. So we've got Crew Alexandra and Peterborough, and that is at Crew Alexandra. Who did you like that one?
I like Peterborough, and I'm going to go with 2-1.
All right. Hull City and Burton Albion.
Are you not going to give me your prediction, Phil, for Peterborough?
Oh, did you want me? I thought you were giving yours.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll go through mine, and then we'll go through yours, okay?
Okay.
You've got Hull and Burton is the next match, you said.
Hull and Burton.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 home win for Hull.
Sunderland and MK Dons at the Stadium of Light.
This is going to be a low-scoring affair, and I'm going to give a home win to Sunderland 1-0.
Bristol and Fleetwood at Bristol. Bristol Rovers and Fleetwood at Bristol.
I like Fleetwood in this one. I think I give the edge to them. A 2-1 win for Fleetwood.
Shrewsbury and Swindon at Shrewsbury.
This one is going to be a snooze fest, and
toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl. The only thing I can think of that might give Swindon the edge would be the one to impress a new manager, but I just don't see any team scoring on this one, and I'm going to go with my first 0-0 draw of the season, Phil, on this one.
And Monday, we have Portsmouth at Plymouth Argyle is the last match for this weekend. Who do you have in that one?
I didn't have that one written down, but that's Plymouth at Portsmouth?
No, it's Portsmouth at Plymouth.
Portsmouth at Plymouth. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Portsmouth.
Ooh. All right, well, I'm going to go in reverse order, and I'm going to start right there. And you've been the one who's been all over Plymouth's home form, so I'm going to ride that. and go with 2-1 in favor of the Sox.
They've got a great home record. I just Portsmouth, they're top of the away table, so this is going to be a good one. Next one, Sunderland and MK Dons.
I'll go with a 1-0 win to Sunderland.
Okay, Shrewsbury at home to Swindon.
1-1 draw.
Too many goals there, Phil. Hull at home to Burton.
I'm going to go with an upset special here, only because I see the line on Burton is plus 750, which means if you bet 10 quid on them, you get 85 quid back. And I want to see somebody hit that bet, so I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to the Brewers.
Well, if you have the balls to put money on that one you deserve to win. Crew at home to the Posh.
I'm going to go 3-1 to the Posh.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one. It's just that Crew are good at home, so I thought I'd give them only allowing 2 goals. And then the Bristol Rovers at home to Fleetwood.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 Fleetwood win.
Yeah, I think they're in form right now, and they're just starting to get some results. So yeah, that's it for me, Phil, on the matches coming up. Looking forward to watching the Reds take on the Cobblers at Northampton tomorrow, and let's hope for a good game and a good result for Stanley.
I can't wait. We're just about 21 hours away from kickoff as we record. Until then, on Stanley on. Cheers.